Gopijana Vallabha Givaradhari. Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Givaradhari. Yashodanandana Braja Janarandana. Yashodanandana Braja Janarandana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Shri Radha Madhava ki. So thank you everyone for participating. It makes the atmosphere a bit more auspicious. So thank you for that. So today's class, as Radharandhaneshwara Prabhu kindly introduced, it's going to be ideal household life or ideal married life. I just want to say that I'm not going to give any like relationship or marriage counseling. So I'm not that experienced, although my parents were together for 47 years before my dad departed from this world. And also my mentors, they have been married, and actually in ISKCON, they have been married for about 52 years now, so quite a long time. But I'm sure Radharandhaneshwara Prabhu and some other devotees might be able to give a more practical answer to questions in the QA later. So I prepared a few slides just as an experiment. I've never done it before, so I'll see how it works with you all. So really, I just want to make that disclaimer. As I said, I'm not going to speak so much from experience, although you could argue that reading the scriptures is also experience. But I'm actually I'm gonna act more like a narration capacity. So I'm gonna explain or narrate a story from one of our scriptures called Srimad Bhagavatam. There is a wonderful story there. So yes, this is the book I'm gonna speak from. So this is one of our essential books in our movement. By the way, I forgot to ask, how many of you are here for the first time? If you could raise your hand. Okay, welcome, one person. So welcome. Where did you come from? Oh, okay, amazing. Nice to have you. And of course, welcome everyone actually to Srila Prabhupada's Sunday Love Feast program. He very much loved this program. So I'm going to speak a story from this book, which you can see behind me. It's called Srimad Bhagavatam, and specifically from the 3rd canto. Srimad Bhagavatam is distributed into 12 cantos, and this is the 3rd one. So there is 4 chapters in this canto about an ideal married life. I haven't made up this myself. I was actually given a similar class by my teacher, by my spiritual teacher in ISKCON, Govardhan Eco Village in India. His Grace Gauranga Darshan Prabhu, if any of you know him. So he gave a class on this, and I was very inspired to research the topic and present it to you today. So I hope that's okay. So yeah, can you recognize who that person is sitting there meditating? Anyone? Yes, Kardama Muni. What does the word Kardama mean? We know what the word Muni means, like sage. What does the word Kardama mean? Anyone? It's actually an interesting meaning. It means
doing the rules. Kardama, doing the
Could be. The one I read from the Sanskrit dictionary is one who is covered with mud. It's interesting. It's just my etymological interest in general to understand what our words mean. Anyway, so this is going to be the story of Kardama Muni and Devahuti. Yes. Brilliant. So yeah, this is going to be a story from the Srimad Bhagavatam, and yeah, so basically in those times, Kardama Muni started meditating for 10,000 years. So 10,000 years, such a long time. So how long, we have perhaps meditated today for 1 or 2 hours at best. He was meditating for 10,000 years. And actually that's in those days. So from this, if you are familiar with the Vedic concept of ages, you can suddenly think that this is the first age, which is called Satya Yuga, because of the lifespan. So in those days, they were living for 100,000 years. So he was meditating anyway for 10,000 years. So that's pretty much like if we were meditating for 10 years. Still quite a lot, right? So he was a real sage. And actually he had, you could say, one material desire. Even though he was a sage, he was worshipping God, or we call God Krishna. So he was worshipping Krishna for a wife. So you could ask me, what? How does that make sense? He's a sage. He's meditating to attain self-realization. So why would he worship for a wife, a suitable and comfortable wife? Any ideas? Okay. Yeah?
They want to progress. They want to get some kids.
Yes, that's actually true. And why did he want to get kids?
Yeah, to studies.
Yes. So that's actually, thank you very much. So he was actually instructed by his father, Lord Brahma, to, Lord Brahma in our tradition is the secondary creator. So the first creator is obviously Krishna, God himself. By technical term we call it Sarga and Visarga. So Visarga, Lord Brahma, is the secondary creator. So his duty is to populate this universe. Brahma is basically the head of our universe, and he asked his son, Kardama Muni, to populate, to create progeny, basically. And, it was extremely important for Kardama Muni because Brahma had other sons, like the 4 Kumaras, and they already denied that order. So the 4 Kumaras didn't want to create progeny. They wanted to be just lifelong celibates. So it was really important that someone actually populates this universe. We wouldn't be here today without this happening. So really, that was Kardama Muni's instruction from his father, and as a dutiful son, he was trying to fulfill that. He had actually no interest in family life. But as a dutiful father, he was anyway fulfilling his father's instruction. It also shows a good example for a spiritual teacher and spiritual student. Even sometimes we get some instruction which may not be very comfortable. We anyway execute it because we trust the person. So yeah, Kardama Muni was meditating like that for 10,000 years, and the Lord came. So as you can see on the photo, the Lord himself came to see Kardama Muni. That's very extraordinary. So the Lord came on the back of Garuda, so that bird that you can see there with folded palms, like a golden mountain, that's actually called Garuda. And Krishna came on his back, like a bluish diamond, or like very effulgent diamond, like that, wearing this wonderful golden crown, wearing white lotuses like garlands, and some necklace, some marks on his chest, with 4 hands. He came with weapons to protect the devotees and to destroy the demoniac people. There's this verse from the Bhagavad Gita. Let me see if I can remember it. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma samstarpanartaya sambhavami yuge yuge. So again, the Lord comes like that from time to time for that purpose which I've just mentioned. So again, he came to see Kardama Muni. And yeah, so Kardama Muni offered immediately wonderful prayers, heartfelt prayers to the Lord. Because, that's just, that's what we do. I guess that's what we do if we saw the Lord. Or at least the exalted personalities do offer very wonderful prayers. And so he said, you are the accumulation of all goodness, Lord Krishna, and you are so wonderful, and spiritual people don't ask you for any material benedictions or any material boons. The materialistic people do, so that's their motivation to pray to the Lord. And in this way he was very humble, but he said, actually, I also ask for a material benediction to get a wife, so I'm actually also fallen. But that was Kardama Muni's humble attitude, basically. And then he revealed, actually, the reason why I asked for a wife is because my father, Lord Brahma, instructed me to get married. And then actually, who gave the instruction to Lord Brahma? Krishna himself. So actually the order comes from Krishna. So actually by praying for a wife, he was trying to be a part of Krishna's divine plan, divine project to populate this world. So in this way, he respected Krishna a lot and offered heartfelt prayers. And even the environment that you can see on the photo. By the way, this is really from ISKCON, these photos. I got permission to use these photos for you today, but this is like a wonderful atmosphere for meditation. Like you see all the birds and the swans and cranes. Like, they are like even animals and like plants, they can be in different modes. And like swan is in the mood of goodness. So this is a really conducive atmosphere for meditation. And actually the river that you see there, this place is actually called Bindu Sarovar. And actually it was filled in with the Lord's tears, because he felt like the Lord's tears actually fell into this river in Bindu Sarovar. So it's really a special place. And I was just reading my Guru Maharaj's book the other day. He wrote actually a book he wrote a book on a story from the Srimad Bhagavatam, but specifically one verse really inspired him, which is, I don't know whether you know this verse, Sadhavo hridayam makhyam, sadhunam hridayam tvaham, madanyat tena jananti, naham tebyo managapi. So the pure devotees are in the core of, so Krishna is saying this in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the pure devotees are in the core of my heart, and I'm also in the heart of in the heart of the pure devotees. The pure devotees don't know anyone else than me, and I don't know anyone else but them. So you can see also that relationship here between Kardama Muni and Lord Krishna. So, I speak too much, I need to carry on. But basically, Krishna said, actually Kardama Muni, you worship me for a wife, but actually it's already arranged for you. I've already arranged for everything for you. So in 2 days, Swayambhuva Manu and his wife, Satarupa, and their daughter, Devahuti, will come, and please accept Devahuti in marriage. And not only that, so that was one boon Krishna gave to Kardama Muni. There was another. That's actually not just about that they get married, but Krishna promised to Kardama Muni that he would appear as his son. So the son of Kardama Muni and Devahuti. So that again shows how saintly these people were, you know, like the Lord himself appears. We know that, you know that you're from India, many of you know that Krishna appeared also as the son of Devaki and Vasudeva. This is another occasion where he will appear as Kapila Dev and will play a very important role. So in 2 days later, sorry, this image is not very good resolution, but what you might see on the images, the prediction is coming to true. So in 2 days, day after tomorrow, Swayambhuva Manu came with his wife, Satarupa, and their daughter, Devahuti. And then you see on the left side a little, image of Kardama Muni meditating. So, this was coming to true, and obviously Kardama Muni received the sage very, very well. So he knew how to, receive guests like that. He was a Brahmana at that stage. So, and Swayambhuva Manu was a Kshatriya, because he was a king. So you can see this reciprocation. Brahmana is basically a priest, the head of the society, the teachers who teach the principles, and Kshatriya is like the administrative class. So when these two work together, it's really nice in our society. So this was presented also in this story, these two classes. And so they started speaking, Kardama Muni and Swayambhuva Manu. By the way, Swayambhuva Manu is also the son of Lord Brahma. So there is a little strange things there for our like limited mind. But of course, when you have one person to populate the world, then sometimes these close relationships exist, and that's normal. Time, place, circumstances to populate the world. In the Vedic system, it's a respectful marriage if the father comes and offers her daughter to devotee. So this is what was considered respectful marriage. So when the devotee goes to some father to get the daughter's hand, that is not considered very respectful in Vedic times. So again, this sets an example how exemplary this story was. And so Swayambhuva Manu said, look, my daughter is really into you, she has a good character, not just good character, very suitable character for you, very compatible character, and please accept her. She has made up her mind on you, she wants you to be her husband. So what a privilege for a man like, getting married like that. So again, I'm conscious of time, so I'm gonna skip some of the stories, sorry. We can discuss them later in the QA if you're interested still. So then Kardama Muni said, I'm just gonna get to the point. There were many conversations going on there, but Kardama Muni said, yeah, of course, I'm gonna accept it. Anyway, I was looking for a wife. Devahuti is like, who would reject Devahuti anyway? She was so beautiful. There is a story, another story actually, it's in this section of the Bhagavatam, where a Gandharva, basically someone who is a celestial being, so someone who lives like, you can think of it like a heaven, lives in heaven, and when Devahuti was playing in the palace, in her father's palace, on the top, the Gandharva was flying in an airplane. It was a huge palace, by the way, so a palace is not really like a modern invention at all. And so this Gandharva, this celestial being, so Devahuti, and he basically fell from the beauty of Devahuti. So not just fell with the airplane, but actually he fell off from the airplane. And that's because when we see someone's, like a lady like that with lust, this is not acceptable. So Devahuti was that beautiful. And it's many men desire really beautiful wife. Maybe except Srila Prabhupada, who didn't think that his wife was beautiful, but in general, desire a beautiful wife. So again, Kardama Muni said, yes, I'm going to accept your daughter, but I do have one condition. Does any of you know what the condition was from Kardama Muni for the marriage?
Was it after the children, when you get children, he would leave?
Yes, that's it. So basically, he was already making an exit plan before entering the marriage. So he said, fine, but that's my condition. I want to dedicate myself to Krishna. So he really had this mood from the Bhagavad Gita. There is this verse, this Manmana bhava mad bhakto mad yajimam namaskuru mameveshyasi yuktvevam atmana yat prayat manaha. Devotional service, basically, to Shri Krishna. So really had this exit plan already. And, Swambhu Muni said, fine, that's okay, that's completely, perfectly all right. And so Satarupa was also happy with that. And Devahuti was, of course, happy. She already made up her mind. So in this way, they all agreed. So the marriage was arranged. And as a custom, the parents, especially Satarupa, the mother, gave a lot of gifts, for the marriage ceremony. This is again a Vedic custom, as far as I learned, and I was taught. So a lot of nice presentations. So the marriage was arranged. Swayambhu, when he was about to leave, he had tears in his eyes. So he embraced his daughter, and then he left back to his kingdom with Satarupa. And so they went back, and then they continued their royal life in a place called Brahmavarta. Brahmavarta is a special place because when Lord Varahadev appeared, Krishna is one of Krishna's incarnation, one of the Dasha avatars, the 10 avatars. His hair actually fell on Brahmavarta, and it became a kusha grass. So then Swayambhu Manu and Satarupa were worshipping the Lord with the kusha grass, basically. And they were like royal kings, like what we call Rajarshis, like sages amongst kings. We have so many quite a few of these in the Bhagavatam, like Dhruva Maharaj, Prithu Maharaj, etc., Ambarish Maharaj, even Prahlad Maharaj, etc., etc. So they were ruling like that, never forgetting devotional service at all. Just conscious of time. So they got married, and so Devahuti started serving her husband very, very faithfully, very, very loyally, and very, very nicely. So, without going too much into the details, it's really captivating for the man's heart when the wife is serving him very nicely, speaking softly, sweet words, because there is one thing, that there is physical violence sometimes in today's world, but then there is subtle violence, and subtle violence is what we can cause with our words, and that can be also like a knife in the heart. So anyway, she was speaking very softly, very sweetly, serving her husband, and in this way, they were living together. And of course, when the wife also serves the husband very faithfully, the wife attains all the devotional services and benedictions that the husband attained. So this is the privilege again for the wife, that just by that service, she attains also what the husband attained with so many years of austerities and meditation and bhakti yoga. So in this way, they were serving together. But then Devahuti, it's actually a good trait, but Devahuti was a bit shy, so indirectly she said, Kardama Muni, that I actually don't need this benediction right now. I need protection, I need fearlessness. So she was indirectly asking for children. And so that's what she wanted to become a mother, basically. And Kardama Muni said, that's great. So, but for the many years of service, Devahuti's body became so emaciated, is that the English word? Emaciated, like very thin, very skinny. So she lost, her beauty. And so she asked Kardama Muni if, you could make my body fit before we have children. So basically fit for union, because currently my body is not fit for union. So Kardama Muni said, yes, of course, because it's one of the duties for man according to Vedic civilization. This is what I wanted to say. According to spiritual culture, spiritual culture is actually Krishna's culture. So we might think how we can apply these things in today's world. I would say for now, don't worry about application. Just hear what the ideal life would be, what Krishna's system is, because that's the direction that we can set for ourselves. So anyway, Kardama Muni was providing and protecting Devahuti. So he said, please get into this Bindu Sarovar. And as a mystic yogi, as he meditated for so many years, he was able to arrange thousands of young maidservants for Devahuti. So this, obviously the goal was to make her body fit, so they dressed her nicely, they combed her nicely, they gave her very beautiful garments and ornaments. So in this way, and then jewelries, so in this way, and all sorts of cosmetics, So she became again, she regained how beautiful she was before. So this all happened in the Bindu Sarovar. And then with these maidservants, they came out of the Bindu Sarovar. This is going to be interesting. But this is the story. It's actually real. So I have no doubts that this is real. So this is not imaginary. But what happened at that time, Kardama Muni basically created an aerial mansion, a flying mansion. So that's what you can see on the top. So this is actually a mansion, not just on the top of the hill, but it was flying. So this was, you could say it's much better than any royal palace of the time. So they entered that, and it had so many pleasure spots, like valleys, mountains, hills, all these things. And so, obviously Devahuti enjoyed that. We like traveling sometimes, in Europe, different countries, just seeing different parts of the world. Ladies may especially like that. And then, so Kardama Muni fulfilled Devahuti's desires in this regard. And how you could say, so they enjoyed for 100 years. So you could say, 100 years? That's such a long time for enjoyment from a sage. But if you think about it, like he was meditating for 10,000 years. So 100 years, it's like, for us, maybe a day in 1 year to enjoy, like go somewhere. And so that's not a lot in their, time lifespan. So they were enjoying. And anyway, Kardama Muni was still detached. So he just wanted to fulfill the desire of his wife. So he was not attached. So there's again this verse from the there's this verse from the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, actually, Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma Na Shochati Na Kankshati. Samasarveshu Bhuteshu Mad Bhaktim Labate Param. So Kardama Muni was equipoised, basically, not moved by lamentation or desire or happiness, anything like that. Right. So they were enjoying there for 100 years. Again, sorry, I have to speed up a bit. So then, finally, they came back from the aerial mansion, and as the Lord predicted, I didn't say it before because we are short on time, but Krishna predicted that they will have 9 daughters. So Kardama Muni expanded himself into 9 forms, and in this way united with Devahuti, and they had 9 beautiful daughters. So then, finally, the exit plan is coming to truth, right? Kardama Muni was excited to renounce, and then he was about to leave. And then again, Devahuti came there for 2 reasons. He wanted Kardama Muni to stay back. Does any of you know what was the 2 reasons why Devahuti wanted Kardama Muni to stay back? Anything else? So one of the reasons, yes, they had 9 daughters, but in Vedic civilization, actually women... Were they?
Like they wanted a boy?
Yes, they wanted a son. So in Vedic culture, the women are supposed to be protected. And this is not a degradation for women at all. Like, oh, if you're not independent, etc., don't depend on a man, earn for yourself, have your own career. It wasn't like that in the Vedic time. This is not Vedic at all. And in the Vedic times, women were protected by the father until the marriage, then by the husband, Kardama Muni, and after the husband renounces, by a son, by an able son. And so Devahuti asked for that. The other thing she also asked, I'm not going to go into the details now, but she also asked for association. She hasn't utilized the saintly association that she has had around in the personality of Kardama Muni. So it's, keeping him back. And in this way, Kardama Muni agreed. Anyway, the Lord already predicted that they would have the Lord himself as the son. So the Lord actually already arranged for her parents' marriage. That's also quite unusual, right? Usually the parents arrange for the marriage, but here the son was arranging. Quite extraordinary from Krishna. Anyway, they had a son, so Kardama Muni wanted to have a son anyway, but just let Devahuti express beautifully her desire. And by the way, Devahuti was shy. That's also a good quality in a woman, actually, according to Vedic times. So yeah, then they had a son, finally, who was called Kapila Dev, and he was the Lord himself. And the whole family was just so glorious that Brahma, whom you can see on behind me, with the, well, here you see 3 heads. Here is one more, which is behind. But basically he came, Kardama Muni's father came to congratulate, and not just congratulate, to thank Kardama Muni for fulfilling his instruction to create progeny. So Kardama Muni came. Who is that person with the Sita? Narada Muni, someone said. Yeah, thank you. And who are the 4 boys? 4 Kumaras, yes. So they all came. They are all one family, and they came to celebrate this occasion. You can see on the right side the 9 daughters, and you can see some of the future husbands, lined up. So this was really a great lineage, a superb lineage, actually. So they came to congratulate. Lord Brahma was very, very thankful for fulfilling his instructions, so that the creation is happening now. There are 9 daughters married to 9 saints, so they will create further progeny, etc., etc. So like that. So there was a congratulation going on there. So finally, Kardama Muni was about to finally renounce the family life. And now it was also possible because finally there was an able son. I mean, it's not just an able son, probably the best son one can have, Lord Krishna himself. Right, so he was again going to Kapila Dev, to his son, to ask for permission to depart. So humble, asking for permission. He's the father. Does he have to ask for permission from his son? He was very, very humble and respectful. So that is Kapila Dev sitting there. You can see almost like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in some sense, because golden, like the golden avatar. But he's not the golden avatar, but he's Krishna himself. Oh, one thing I forgot to say here about Swayambhuva Manu, so Devahuti's father. I don't know whether you know, some of you may know that Swayambhuva Manu gave us a very important book. It has become a law book for mankind. It's called Manu Samhita. So it's super important. It explains everything, like how we should live as human beings, respectful human beings, and responsible human beings. So yeah, finally, Kardama Muni was ready to go, finally. And he protected Devahuti throughout his life. He provided she didn't have, there's another verse from the Bhagavad Gita, is Ananyas Chintayanto Mam Yejana Paryupasate Tesham Nityabhiyuktanam Yogakshemam Vaham Yaham. So Krishna basically protects what we have, but he also provides what we lack. So in the same way, Kardama Muni was providing and protecting for his wife. Thank you. So yeah, so basically he was about to renounce and completely dedicate himself to the service of the Lord, and this was now possible. So then in the Srimad Bhagavatam, there are, so I spoke about the 4 chapters very, very briefly, so there's a lot of things that I had to omit because of lack of time. So maybe start thinking about questions, otherwise I will speak more. But basically then, so this was the 4th chapter, it's 21st chapter to 24th in the Srimad Bhagavatam 3rd Canto. If you are interested in the story, you can go more in depth. There's a lot more nectar to it. And yeah, so then the following chapters in the Srimad Bhagavatam, I think from 20, I haven't prepared for that, but from 25 to I think 33, for 8 chapters, that's even a longer story, that Kapila Dev instructed his mother in, well, primarily in Sankhya Yoga, but also in general about devotional service. So in this way you can see the big contrast within the woman concept in today's world and the Vedic concept. And before I open up for questions, I'd like to, if you are interested in this topic, ideal married life, in my research I came through 2 books which I found wonderful. So one of them is from the ISKCON Grihastha Vision team. It's the team which is responsible for married life in ISKCON, because we have to admit that there is a lot of divorce in ISKCON as well. So there is something not right going on in ISKCON. So this team is specialized for addressing this. And they train people, they have people with more than 40, 50 years of marriages in ISKCON. So this is the only book they wrote, this team. It's called Heart and Soul Connection, a devotional guide to marriage, service and love. I read it briefly. I can only recommend this book. And more importantly, I found... So this is another wonderful book. Actually, this resonated a lot more with me. This is from a very senior lady, Mataji, in our movement. Her name is Devaki Devi Dasi. She was married for 10 years, so she went through it all. But she gives seminars on spiritual culture, which is again Krishna's culture. And yeah, when you watch her classes, I should have said it also before this class, when you attend these classes about marriage and qualities of women and men, perhaps try to detach from your current bodily identification, that you are in a man's body or a woman's body, because sometimes you may hear something which is not exactly what we see in today's world, but still, those are the Vedic teachings, so that you just don't get offended or anything. So she has a wonderful book called Entering the Grihastha Ashram. She was actually giving this analogy when people say, like, men and women are equal. So I'm not going to open up this topic for now, we can discuss it upstairs, but she was giving a wonderful example which really resonated with me. Men are like the truck, if we are comparing cars. Men are like the truck, like strong, it's about to get the job done, very logical, whereas women are like, she said, like a sports car, like, you know, very fancy, very beautiful, you know, almost like has an emotional side of the sport car, you know. But, you know, they are not equal, because you can't go to the formula race with a truck. And equally, you can't really execute the farming job with a sports car. And similarly, when we are on the road and we are driving a truck, there may be a limitation that above 75 ton, maybe the truck can't go on the road. But this only affects us if we identify with the truck. If you don't identify, basically we are the drivers of the vehicle. We are not the vehicle. So on the spiritual level, yes, there is spiritual feminism. On the spiritual level, we are all equal. But naturally, on the bodily platform, like it or not, we are different. I'm not able to give birth like you wonderful ladies. And yeah, we can work hard and lift hard. Like we can go to the gym and lift hard. Not me, perhaps, but you can lift like weights. So I think I will stop there. Thank you very much for your attention. Please ask me questions now until 30. We have time. If you don't ask questions, I will speak more on the story, but please do ask questions. I like questions.
Sorry, Prabhuji, in your story, and I joined in a little late, but in your story, the woman had to be like fit for the union.
Yes.
So, I guess like my thinking is coming from a lot what I'm seeing like today, but is it important for anyone to be a particular type to be for a man or woman's union? Essentially, what I'm asking.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you have to fall into a certain category of beautiful or handsome or smart, or in order to, as we like in the story, in order to have the union? So yeah, just is there a type essentially?
Thank you very much for the question. It's very relevant. Yes, that's a good question. I haven't thought about it when I was preparing for this class. I would say when you are maybe so emaciated, then maybe just take care of your health first, because it's actually not a healthy condition to be in. But otherwise, if you are healthy, I would say physically, yes, but maybe a doctor can say more. But I would also say, add to that, if you don't mind, is that we also need to be fit spiritually. So subtle fitness, like in our movement we do, for example, the Garbhadan Samskar, which is like chanting 50 rounds before, for example, procreation. So yeah, there is subtle fitness and there is very gross fitness as well. Devahuti in this case had the issue with the gross fitness. In regards to handsome and so on, what is handsome? Very subjective. Anyone else, please? Ladies, maybe? I'm sure you have questions, don't be shy. I said a lot.
Hare Krishna, thank you for your class, Prabhu. I'm just wondering if we have to follow what the ancient Vedic civilization used to follow, like the husband has to be the leader of the family and the wife has to follow him. But how do we relate it now in present day where husbands are not that mature or they don't deserve that? So we can't be submissive to such people. So,
very good,
yeah.
Very good. Thank you for the question. I knew that this was going to come. So, yes, so what you are basically saying is, like, when we say, oh, you should be submissive like the queens of Dwarka, but yeah, I would be if you were Krishna, This is a very valid point. So, I can only say what I was hearing from Mother Devaki, because that resonated with me the most. And actually I was thinking something similar along those lines, but I'm just going to say what she said, because that's what I also believe in. She said, when she has actually a whole seminar on this topic, like 12 hours. She said, please don't tell me what to do, what to apply now, and because that's very personal. Kala Desha Patra, like time, place, circumstances, what we can apply. But still, we have to have a higher vision, we have to have the higher principles, we have to have the direction, because if we don't have that, then what is the end goal of our life, our marriage, our existence? So she was saying that we speak about this as a spiritual culture, as Krishna's culture. This is the ideal culture. And then she's not saying what we should apply or what we should not apply right now, because as you say, we might be very, very far away, but still this should be the goal. You know, for a Formula One racer, you know, the goal is far, you know, but still he's aiming for that. So yeah, I can't answer the question. I think it's always a bit personal, what you can apply from this in your life. Maybe you can just go to, for example, Kirtan programs, study together, discuss, cook prasadam together and honor together. It's all very personal, so maybe mentors and counselors can help with the actual practicalities. So maybe I was just speaking about the general principles. Is that okay? Thank you.
Just little things that came up. So I remember Prabhupada was on a bus in India, and he was looking at some people on the street, and they were homeless on the street, and he noticed this old man, and his wife was there, the elderly wife was there, and the wife was making sure that the man was nicely dressed, even in that condition. So she was serving him, no matter what. And then he smiled at that. But that's the deep culture that's coming from India. That's a very deep culture. And the other thing is that when the woman serves the man, she empowers the man. And there's that story about Tulsi Devi, and she was married to a demon, and they couldn't kill him. They couldn't kill the demon because Tulsi was serving the demon. And even though the demon was really nasty, really nasty, like to Tulsi, yeah, she still served them, and they were losing. So Vishnu appeared in the form of the demon to break her chastity, of vow of chastity, and then the demon was defeated, and then from that there was a whole thing, you know. But it's just interesting. These are interesting sort of points of view to analyse. Saying, so if I pursue this course, what will be the gain? So usually marriage is about sacrifice. And we don't know, in the later cantos it says, men and women get together in Kali Yuga on the basis of superficial attraction. And so, you know, and then they call it the honeymoon period. And then, so it's based on sense gratification, but we get to, if both the male and the female get together for spiritual emanciation, spiritual elevation, the outcome will be totally different. And just one last thing, how can we, when we, there's one beautiful statement by Bhaktisiddhanta who says, don't try to find faults in others, try and amend yourself. And that's really good, because it's so easy to find faults. It's so easy. But if we look within and amend ourselves, then our vision will change. That's all I can say.
Thank you very much. Time is up. Thank you all very much. Srila Prabhupada ki, Mata Gaura Premanande.
His Grace Gokula Candra Prabhu ki. So yeah, as Gokula Candra said, if anyone's got any further questions about today's class, or indeed about anything to do with Krishna consciousness, anything about what we do here at this temple, anything about Gaudiya Vaishnavism, which is the bhakti that we are following in this temple, then please make your way. After you've had the feast, go up these stairs, 2 more flights, and just to the side there's a room we call the VIP room. Myself and Gokula Candra will both be in there, and we'll try and answer any questions that you have. And let me see, apart from that, a few more announcements. So yeah, I mentioned at the beginning of the class that there's something that we run every Sunday, which is the Krishna Kids Club. And if you would like your children to attend that runs from 4 till 6 p.m. every Sunday. And if you would like to attend, then just go see Kusum, who is outside on the guest greeting table. She can give you an application, fill that in, and then they can attend that any Sunday. Alongside that, I have to make one announcement, which I make every week, which I've been asked to make by our UK ISKCON Child Protection Officer, which is that if you do bring children to the temple, then if they're under the age of 15, they must be accompanied at all times by at least one responsible adult. Please do this. Please help us to protect our children here in this community. Thank you. And last announcement is, if I could have some people to volunteer to clean the temple after we serve the feast. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Great, thank you very much. 8, thank you. Fantastic. So if you can all sit in rows, it will make it easier to serve the prasadam. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki.
Let's